In this video, I'm going to make the same morph animation in 6 different levels, starting from the bare basics up to the most smooth and gorgeous morph I can muster. First things first, we need 2 objects to morph between. I went with something everyone should love, a cat and a pizza. This is the typical cat head I like to draw. Simple, but with enough going on that we can make the animation interesting. The pizza can be a slice with dripping cheese, because I just like the way that looks. A bit of pepperoni, black olives, and I guess those are capsicums, or bell peppers. So here we have our 2 drawings. I'm going to use these for every animation so we can get a true comparison between each transformation. Now, let's begin. This one doesn't deserve to be called level 1, so I'm calling it level 0. You have the cat on one frame, the pizza on another. Spread them apart, create a shape tween. The computer essentially guesses what all the in-between frames should be. Then just a little bit of easing in and out. And that's what it came up with. Yeah, pretty ugly, pretty lazy, 0 creative input from me, so let's move on from that. The real first level is going to have a more human touch. First we have the cat squashed down in anticipation. Using a cheeky tween again, but this time it's a classic tween, which just moves an object from point A to B, or changes its size or rotation. So 100 easing on that, which means it starts fast and slows down. Then we make the cat pop up. I'm stretching it a bit taller and skinnier than it was originally. Easing will be the opposite this time with negative 100, so it starts slow and gets faster. This is because I wanted it to turn into the pizza while it's shooting up and going fast to hide the switch a little bit. On the next frame, we put a tall, skinny version of the pizza. Then it's essentially reversing the animation we did for the cat. It eases down, squashes, and returns to normal. So arguably this isn't a morph at all, and is maybe worse than level 0, but I would argue it's definitely better because I didn't just click a button and have the whole morph happen for me. It looks okay because you have the motion kind of masking the transformation. Well, the switch. It's just a little rapid. So we're taking the same building blocks of level 1, but adding an actual morph in there. Using the upwards motion as a guide, I'm going to draw a bunch of in-between frames. The first thing to do is draw a shape halfway between the cat and pizza. I ended up with this blob that looks like a good mix. I'm leaving out the details for now and focusing on the silhouette because that's just easier to deal with. Now we can draw new shapes halfway between that in-between and the start and end points. This one looks closer to a cat, and this one looks closer to a pizza. Those 3 frames, along with some extra leading and exiting motion from the full cat and pizza, will sell the transformation decently well. So now to make the details somehow morph into each other. I can take the eyes and nose and turn those into 3 pieces of pepperoni. The mouth and whiskers can disintegrate away and the other ingredients can dissolve in. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. This is fairly nice to look at. Actually took a little bit of effort. And you can see an actual morph taking place. It's still very fast and very simple, so let's move on to level 3. For level 3, we're going to have more anticipation and a bigger pop-up. More of a jump. It'll still be the same idea of drawing something halfway between the 2 images, then halfway between those, and so on. But we're doing a lot more frames this time. On top of that, I'll add some bounce after it fully transforms into the pizza for a bit more physicality. Nothing too different going on here overall. You can think of it as the deluxe edition of level 2. So this is just a lot livelier, more fun to look at. More of a punch to it, but smoother at the same time. Still relatively simple at this point, so let's move on to level 4, see what that entails. Now we switch it up. Instead of jumping into the morph, it'll be a spin. The transition should also be more organic and seamless. We start with a slight head turn, then draw the stretched out spinny side view of the cat. I wanted the pizza to sort of unfurl following the motion of the spin. Once the cat's turned away from us and we can't see the face, it can flow nicely into that by going from an oval to a burrito shape to the pizza flopping out. With the keyframes in place, I started adding in-betweens. Going into the final pizza form, I had the tip drag behind and go up and down a bit before settling into place. Then the melting cheese droops down as the pizza lands in position. To make the toppings appear in a way that was more interesting than just dissolving in, I had them pop out of the pizza. They kind of dissolve in as they pop out, then land back on top. I also added some impact lines to give it more weight. Now that's much more interesting than what we've had so far. It's more of a transformation than just two shapes blending together. I like the way the pizza sort of unwraps and wobbles around, and the pop on the toppings is good too. So that was level 4. Let's see what level 5 is all about. Alright, now we're really gonna make a meal out of this transformation. No pun intended. The main idea is to have the cat stretch out and wrap its ears around its face, squishing itself into a lumpy ball that morphs into the pizza slice. With this bulbous shape right here, we can grow the left quadrant into the main part of the pizza while the rest of it morphs into the crust. Of course, there's a whole lot of in-betweening to be done. I'm going to use the eyes as 2 pieces of pepperoni, so I had them pop out of the head to land back on the pizza while morphing into the right shape, and nicely flowing into position. From that, I can also add a black splash on impact that goes up and lands back down as all of the black olives. I drew these circles and arcs as guides. For the bell peppers, I made them dissolve in again, but much more gradually. They also kind of swim into place, which is fun. The remaining pieces of pepperoni will simply emerge from the cheese. Now I'm adding all the in-betweens, frame boiling, and final touches. So now the morph is really the star of the show. We're not hiding it behind some quick motion. There are a lot of moving parts, which is cool. Definitely the smoothest one, and it's just nice and fun to watch. Well, that was level 5, but there's still one more level to go. Okay, this might seem a bit cheap, but level 6 is just adding colour. You have to think about how you're going to transition from one set of colours to a completely different one. It adds a layer of complexity, and I think it's a lot nicer to look at. So starting off, we'll go with a grey and white cat with a pink nose and blue eyes. As it wraps into a ball, the grey can drift off to the sides and out of existence, while the grey of the ears shrinks with the ears themselves. So we have a mostly white shape, and from there we can have the colours of the cheese and crust gradually bleed in. For the eyes, I have the blue go away and the red come in with the rotation and fall. The other pepperonis are red from the start because they just emerge from the cheese. The green can dissolve in with the peppers. Last thing, I thought it'd look nice to have a subtle gradient in the background. So that's our level 6 cat pizza morph. It's a far cry from level 1. Yeah, it's a pretty cool animation. Obviously, not too different from the last one, but I think adding colour does add a lot. It kind of feels more tangible. And there you have it. 6 or 7 levels of animating a morph. You could take it much further than this, honestly, but I have to stop at some point. If you guys really like this video, maybe I'll do another levels of something video. Maybe another morphs one. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.